Hello, welcome to part 2 of Stories Behind the Instagram Study Abroad edition. You don't have to watch part 1 first, but if you want to, I will link it up in the card, maybe on the side, just because the Instagrams that I don't cover in this video will be covered in that one. So if you like this, go ahead and check over there. Also, if this is your first video you've ever seen, hi, I'm Anna. I do other things now, but in the summer of 2019, I studied abroad in Málaga, Spain, which I absolutely loved. Best time of my life, so many great memories, and so obviously so many pictures and so many Instagram posts. And so in this little series, I'm doing stories behind the Instagram posts, what Instagram doesn't know. And part 1 was really fun to film. And so I'm just gonna go through my Instagram. Honestly, it's not super planned out this time. I'm just gonna go through my Instagram and cover the posts that I didn't cover in the other video, because that gives me an excuse to talk more about when I studied abroad in Spain. Okay, starting with the very first post that I made when studying abroad. I remember I thought this was such a big deal. Like, I get most people probably didn't care, but I felt like this was like my debut, like my hello, I am in Spain now. Check out my location tag. It is in España. How cool, so cool. The first post is from Toledo, Spain, which is right outside, maybe like a 30-45 minute drive from Madrid. Super cool town, but whenever we started my study abroad program, we all flew into Madrid. I went through ISA, International Studies Abroad, and absolutely loved the program, but we all flew into Madrid, and it worked out that my flight left at like 5 p.m. Eastern time in the US and then arrived around 7 a.m. Spanish time. The first day we spent in Madrid, we did some walking tours, we ate at different restaurants, but I did not have a night of sleep before that. I could kind of sleep on the plane, but it was not a full night's sleep. So I was going on like 48 hours with no sleep almost. And so that is why our Instagram debut is in Toledo, not in Madrid, because honestly, I don't even know if I have pictures from Madrid. I hardly remember the Madrid day, which is kind of a bummer. I remember that it was fun, but also just there was no sleep to have been had. But we spent the day in Madrid, and then we spent like a day and a half, maybe 2 days in Toledo. Did more walking tours. It really was like getting to know everyone on the study abroad trip, which was really cool because we all, for the most part, went to different schools. Not many people knew each other before coming to Spain, and so just getting to know new friends. I remember so fondly, there was a restaurant that we went to, I feel like it was called like La Terraza or something in Toledo, but it was the first restaurant we went to. I'm pretty sure I found it, which I felt pretty proud of. But we went and had a hamburger that was absolutely delicious, and then also had my first like Spanish sangria, which is like what they're known for. And absolutely delicious. The sun was setting. It looked over Toledo, absolutely beautiful. And then one of the nights too, we all found this bar called Mama Paca's that was like this little hole in the wall, tiny little hole in the wall. And we all got to know each other. I feel like better that night just because we were all hanging out. It was kind of funny. We all loved Mama Paca's so much just because like good memories, but they closed like a month after we went there in Toledo. So if you go to Toledo, Spain, you can no longer go to Mama Paca's, but I wish you could because I loved them. The workers were so fun. And like I said, we just all got to know each other better there. After Toledo, we took a bus ride to Malaga. And I remember this one because I had gotten one of the most like motion sick I've ever gotten in my life. I do not always get motion sick, but I usually try to take preventative measures so I don't. And I remember I did not get a seat in the front of the bus. I was probably like the middle. I wasn't even in the back, but I was probably the middle. But the drive down to Malaga was full of like mountains, twists, turns, curvy roads, like up and down, steep cliffs off to the side that give you like a little vertigo feeling whenever you look down them. And I remember I fell asleep because obviously I was still very sleep deprived and just like jet lagged and all. I fell asleep, and when I woke up, the first thing I saw when I opened my eyes was just like staring down a steep cliff as we were like rounding a turn on a mountain. And I just like immediately knew, I was like, the rest of this bus ride is not going to be a good time. And it was not. I felt so sick, but luckily one of my great friends that like later in the couple months we got to know each other better, became a great friend. I feel like we really started to know each other whenever both of us were the 2 motion sick ones on the bus. Both of us had to be moved to the front, had to hold our little barf bags just in case. And it was kind of pitiful, but also got to know her really well on our bus trip to Malaga, and also felt that little sense of, you know, motion sickness community that you get from not being okay. Moving on to another one. This was the Instagram post from our day trip to Ronda. So ISA, the program I went through, planned trips for us over the weekends to different like locations that were close to us that had different like history, culture, different tours, but then also free time that you could just like explore. And so Ronda was one of our first ones, and it really was so beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. The thing that I remember most about this trip was the fact that I got so sunburnt the day before. The day before we were at the beach, and it was like one of those cloudy, windy days that really tricks you and makes you think you can't get burnt, and my skin really showed me that it really could. And so even though it was probably like 90, 95 degrees breeze in Ronda because it was inland. I was wearing a cardigan around all day because my skin like could not see the sun. Like, and so I was like sweating up a storm, but I was also like, I can't take this cardigan off. I'm gonna get burnt no matter how much sunscreen I put on. Great trip though, just a little scorched during it. Moving on, this one is from a walking tour of the Alcazaba, which was like Roman ruins that were literally right next to my home that I lived in Malaga. I lived on Calle Victoria. I don't know if anyone knows the Malaga region, but it was like pretty city center. And I would walk to a bus stop each morning on my way to school, and literally like a 3-4 minute walk from wherever we lived in our apartment was these just like ancient Roman ruins, just chilling, having a good time. You would never come across something that old in the United States, obviously, like a stone structure that's still standing. But this day we actually got to walk up it, which was very cool. I remember being very proud of this caption because we went up the Alcazaba and I captioned it Alcazaba babes. But my favorite thing about this Instagram post is this picture of Malaga, just because it is so beautiful. Like genuinely, that city has ocean, it has mountains, and it has the city. But then it does not take far to get to like small town really close by. You know, like it has everything you could ever want. And I feel like for the most part with traveling, I want to travel new places, see new parts of the world. My first like trip international, I would love for it to be Malaga and to like be able to bring like my family or Zach to see my places there, just because I adored that so much and I really want to go back. It's been what, 2 years now. I know the routes to places in my head, like I know how to walk there. I remember the scenery. I want to go back so bad. I love that city. Next comes my post from Granada, which was another weekend trip. We actually stayed the night this one. We didn't for Ronda, it was just a day trip, but Granada we stayed the night. I remember there was lots of really pretty just like picture locations in Granada. Not too much like exciting happened. I feel like it was just kind of your typical trip, but with the caption of this Instagram, New Spanish City, Same Romper, it's because I realized that 3 out of 4 of the posts that I've talked about so far, so the one from Toledo, the one from Ronda, and the one from Granada, all of our like weekend trips, I wore the same romper, and I didn't realize it until like right before posting that Instagram when I was like scrolling through and seeing that it looked like I had one single outfit. So New Spanish City, same romper. It's a good romper. I like it. I've had it since 2016. I wear it all the time. I also remember in Granada, this is really fun, but whenever you go to a restaurant and order any kind of drinks, they bring rounds of tapas too, just like with the drinks. You don't have to pay for them, which is wonderful. Free food, free great food. And they like change it too. So it's like if you each get like a glass of wine or something, they'll bring like 1 round of tapas, and then like if you get a second glass, they'll bring a new tapa. It's wonderful. Okay, next I'm gonna talk about the one where I was on the ferry to Morocco in this picture. It's kind of obvious, I feel like you can just tell by looking at me, but we had woken up at 3 a.m. that morning to make it to, that was gonna take us to Gibraltar, to where we were gonna ferry from to go to Ceuta. I might have just messed up that pronunciation. It's been a long time since I've had to say it. To where we were gonna go to Morocco from there. And so woke up super early. Honestly, like I was not killing it, but the sun was rising over the Rock of Gibraltar, which is like, I didn't know about it before I went to Spain, but a couple people like mentioned it to me, being like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be close to like Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar, all of that. And from what I saw, it was a really cool rock, but I never actually saw it beyond just like this ferry ride, but it made for a really beautiful view out the back of the ferry boat. It was incredible. I don't think I talked about this Instagram post in my last video. I know I talked about one of the Morocco ones. I started with that because we all got a little sick, a little E. coli, if you want to go check out the other video, but this one was actually my first post in Morocco, and it says another day, another continent, which I was like very unsure about making that the caption because it sounds braggy, but also I thought it was cool. Like, I don't know. So I thought it was kind of funny. But this first picture is actually a tannery. So like a leather tannery, all the little circles are the vats of dye. So it was really cool to see and kind of like see how the process goes. I actually bought Zach a wallet from there, which is not super vegan of me, but it's camel leather and it's a really good wallet. But they gave us, I think there's a picture of this too, they gave us little mint leaves to put over our nose as we were taking the tour through the tannery because it stank so bad. There were just random like goat heads hanging on the wall or like cow heads hanging on the wall. Like there was a lot of dead animals happening around us. It stank so bad. So they gave us the little mint leaves and that made it a whole lot better. Now this next one was an incredible hike, Monte San Anton, but it was just a mountain hike kind of close to Malaga, super close to Malaga. Like we took a bus from our location that our school was at. It was in El Palo in Malaga, and we took a bus just like up a neighborhood essentially, and then had to walk like a really steep route up another neighborhood. Like honestly, most of the hike was still like on road, and then we got to like the actual hike part that wasn't quite as long, but it was absolutely beautiful. Remember me mentioning how Malaga has the ocean, has city, and also has mountains. Like this was one of the most beautiful and just like most fun hikes that I really have ever taken. I know this isn't like a juicy story, it's just me saying like how good the memories are, but they really are very good memories. I remember there was a rock. I don't remember if I put the video in here, but there was a cave that was like kind of close off the trail. We're like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. And so we like walked inside it, and whenever we walked inside it, there was like the like charred remains of like a fire that had been made, and like you could see the smoke going up the walls, like someone had lit a fire. And then there was like a bunch of graffiti around. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. So like we wrote our names too. So my name is on a rock in a cave somewhere in Malaga. But then it was like we saw the fire and we turned around and there was this big like satanic symbol on the other side of the wall. And so we're like, gonna peace out from here. Did not hang out in that cave much longer after that. But the rest of the hike was absolutely incredible. And like I said, I loved it so very much. Great memories. I still wear this outfit to this day. I'm sure you've seen it in vlogs, like workout vlogs, whatever, but the like teal Old Navy bra and then purple Old Navy tank, still wear it, no big deal. This Instagram post from Salobreña was the last trip that we planned just like as a group. I mentioned in the last video how I studied abroad for 2 months, but it was like a 1-month program, but you could pick to do like a back-to-back option. The first month we went on the like ISA sponsored trips, and then the second month we booked our own trips. And so there was I think 4 weekends that we could book. And so we went to Palma de Mallorca, France, and maybe it was just 3. Palma de Mallorca, France, and Salobreña, which was just a town really close by. I think on an 1.5-hour bus ride, if I remember correctly, but got a cute Airbnb like up on a mountain. It really was a good trip. I'm sun-kissed, happy, all of that. The funniest thing that I remember from this trip was the fact that randomly in like the piece of grass in front of the neighborhood community that our Airbnb was in, on our last night there was a heavy metal concert, like literally out of nowhere. Like the stage just appeared out of nowhere, like the sound equipment, everything, but it was like not very dense at all. There was probably maybe like 10 groups of people there, and the space was a lot bigger than that. And so we stood there for a while, kind of headbanged a little bit, very odd. I don't know why that happened. Funny thing with this Instagram post was my last one in Malaga, which I remember being so like sentimental sad as I was making it. It says, y así como así está terminado, os quiero siempre mis guapitas, and just like that it's over. But with this first picture, it's a picture that was like taken by one of the like cameraman media people at Sala Gold, which is like a club in Malaga. But the woman in the back, we don't know. I have no idea who that is. We'll never know who that is. I don't remember seeing her that night, but she's forever in this picture, kind of looking like she's part of our little group. And it's one of my favorite pictures from that trip, just because it's the 5 of us, you know, all in one little picture, and our little friend in the back. Like I said, no idea who that is. The other pictures in this one, this was on our last day of school. So we were in like a little common area in our school there. My first month it was like an intermediate Spanish class. We took placement exams and they placed us. Mine was like an intermediate intensive. And so it was between like 9 and 2 every day, I believe. I had class with other people who, honestly, from all over the world. There were students from Ireland, Poland, Norway, Maryland, which is in America. I just didn't know them. Russia. It was really cool. And then the second month I took, I think, like advanced grammar and culture class, I believe. This little picture has friendship bracelets, which is cheesy, but I really liked it, that I got for each of our friends. And I actually wore mine literally every single day until the end of last summer. I remember it broke off my wrist, like in the chain part, like in a part that couldn't be fixed, while Zach and I were in US Virgin Islands. And so it's still in my backpack. Like whenever it broke off, I put it in a tiny little pocket in my backpack, and it's still there. So I like to think like I'm still carrying it around with me, but it was on my wrist every day for at least a year. Looking at these pictures, I get kind of sentimental just because it was such good memories, such good people. I definitely, like, the friends made my study abroad experience, and I didn't know anybody going into the program. Like, we just became friends while there, but it's so cool to have such great memories with such great people, which I think is like why I get sentimental looking back, just because it was so good. I talked about my Barcelona trip in the last video, but I don't think I talked about my Venice trip, which the Venice was incredible, to be honest. We stayed in a really cool, small, just like studio Airbnb. The Venice airport, you have to take a water taxi to get like actually to Venice, which I have never done before. It was kind of fun. I remember it was pouring rain whenever we got there the first day. So Sarah, who was on the trip with me, and I just like took a very long nap, one of the best naps I think ever in my life. And then the second day did like more actual like exploring Venice and all. We had a water boat tour just like through Venice, which was really cool. beautiful because obviously like it's canals, not really roads. We ate pasta. I know, honestly, like it was either 2 days or a day and a half in Venice, and in that time we're able to walk essentially the whole area, like kind of got to know it pretty well. I do remember there was one single public restroom in the city of Venice, town of Venice, whatever it is, and it cost like, I think it was like 350 euros to go in it, which was painful. That hurt to do, but at that point I did not have a choice. I needed to. Venice was definitely more touristy, but it was cool to meet the tourists too because they're from all over. But I know that it is a problem where native Venetians, I believe is what they're called, Venetians, are no longer able to stay on Venice and like have to move to the mainland because of tourism. So I know that it is an issue. I didn't really learn about it until being there when one of our tour guides was talking about it. So that was interesting to learn. I feel like the second little part of this series wasn't as like juicy fun as the first one. It's kind of just talking about my memories, but honestly it's fun for me to just look back at it, and also I like to share the memories just because they were so good for me. So I hope that this video is at least helpful for you if you're considering studying abroad, or if you're just curious, or if you just want to travel or curious about traveling. Let this convince you that it is just so worth it. And like I said, best time of my life. I can't wait to go back to Malaga. If you need a travel recommendation, go to Malaga, Spain. I feel like it's not talked about that often. Subscribe before you go. Thanks for being here right now, and I'll see you next time.